Welcome to the Digital Talk Show with Arwa. I'm Arwa, your host, and I'm a freelancer. And every week I bring on some amazing guests on my podcast who are killing it in the online world. We bring on guests who have started their journey as a beginner and are now making some big cash months through freelancing, blogging, or any other online sources. So, hey everybody, welcome to the Digital Talk Show with Arwa. We have a very amazing guest. Losinski. She is a tech and automation specialist, and also she is a Dubsado certified specialist. She works as an OBM with other businesses, and she also teaches Tech VAs how to create their own business. So, welcome, Anne, and tell us about yourself.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. So yeah, as you mentioned, I am an online entrepreneur. I have been in the virtual assistant online space since 2017. I started off as a actually outsourced photo editor for photographers, and have kind of moved and shifted a little bit to actually helping people set up their systems and automations in their business. So I'm really passionate about all things systems and automations, and also helping other people who have that same passion to be able to build businesses around it. So yeah, that's kind of my transition in a nutshell. But yeah.
Awesome. So, you have mentioned that you are a Dubsado expert. So, some of our viewers may not be knowing what Dubsado actually is. So, can you tell us more about that aspect?
Yeah, for sure. So Dubsado is a CRM, and the CRM stands for Client Relationship Management. So in essence, Dubsado helps bridge the gap between you and your clients, as well as allowing all of your information about your clients to be held in one space super easily. So it gathers all of the different documents you might have with your clients, your contracts, your invoices, any questionnaires that you have with your clients, all in one spot to make it easy for you to access and reference, as well as allowing you to set up very powerful automations with your workflows and your clients. So if we look at our clients and our client journeys with them, generally we kind of go through the same process with each client. So Dubsado allows us to be able to add in certain emails and things to go out at specific times in our process, so we can make sure that our client process is coherent and is the same for each client, so that we can make sure that our clients are getting the same premium experience that we want to give them, while freeing us up to not have to be at our desk all the time. Because as business owners, we have a lot of things going on, a lot of things to do, and as well as trying to live our personal life as well. So Dubsado allows us to kind of put some of that stuff on automation that we would be doing anyways, those emails that we would be sending anyways. Takes us out of the equation, so that we can serve our clients even deeper in other areas, if that makes sense.
That's so amazing. I love everything about automation because it saves us so much of time. Like I know, like as a business owner, there are so many things to do, and sending emails is the last thing that I want to do. So I totally relate to that. So if someone wants to become like a Dubsado certified specialist, what are the steps and what are the skills that are required?
For sure. So I first want to preface this by saying that even if you are not certified by Dubsado or any other program for that matter, it doesn't exclude you from having a tech and automation business. So Dubsado, like their certification is great, and it's a good thing to put on your website, build a little bit more credibility, but it is not necessary or required to be able to actually offer these as a service. So kind of the steps behind it and kind of learning how to use the program is, first and foremost, you have to have knowledge of the program that you're using. So in my case, that's Dubsado. And so they have wonderful educational resources that you can go through, and you can learn all of their different things and all of the different aspects of the program really well, as well as there's communities online that you can plug into that allow you to be able to grow with other people that are in that same space, which are great knowledge resources for learning kind of the nuts and bolts behind building the business and the different ways you can serve your clients and the different services you can offer. So I would say first start off with Dubsado's educational resources or whatever program you want to use. You might not want to use Dubsado, but if you have a different program in mind, oftentimes they will have resources that you can use. But go through that, learn the basics of it, and then get in there and play around with it yourself. Because especially one of the things that I love about Dubsado is they have an unlimited free trial that you can get in there. You can add up to 3 clients into the system before you pay anything. And so it's not a timed thing. It allows you to get in there, get hands-on experience, set some things up in your own account, and kind of learn that way. And so that's kind of the main thing that you need to know, kind of how the program works. But on the flip side of that, when we're talking about systems and automations, we want to make sure that we understand how to map out a process as well. So if this is something that you want to offer to other people, you need to have kind of a grasp on the different ways that we can look at a process and then kind of think about how we can map this out in Dubsado. So for instance, if you're looking at, say, an onboarding process, kind of learning the different parts and pieces of the onboarding process is going to be super helpful for you to be able to kind of transpose it to any different industry and any different business that you might be working with. So taking some time to learn the critical pieces of the onboarding process and offboarding process, and maybe a process to nurture a lead is going to be super beneficial for you as well. So those are kind of some of the skills that you would kind of acquire to get into this industry. And then I know you specifically asked about the Dubsado certification piece of it. So Dubsado has their certification. They open it once a year in January. And so the process behind that, if you want to go that route, is to take their pre-assessment. So they have a pre-assessment to kind of gauge your base understanding of Dubsado. So it's based off of their educational resources. So taking time to learn those educational resources and go through them really well is going to help you to do well on the pre-assessment. And then from there, they have their big exam in January. So taking the time to, again, review all the materials in the educational resources is going to be your best bet to taking that step to becoming certified, and then passing their exam will allow you to essentially be certified with them, and basically means that they will endorse you, they will have you up on their directory and that sort of thing. And again, like I mentioned, that is nice to have, but certainly not a requirement. There are a lot of people that have thriving businesses that are not Dubsado certified.
Amazing, amazing. That was an amazing answer. So, coming on to the pricing aspect, I know you must be having your own packages. So, what do you recommend people as a newbie to do? Should they charge hourly or like packages?
Yeah, for sure. So I recommend that people move away from hourly pricing as soon as possible, because I believe that hourly pricing kind of limits us for a few different reasons. So when we're talking about hourly pricing, we are talking about exchanging our time for dollars. So however long we're sitting, however long it takes for us to complete a task is what we are going to be able to actually charge our clients. And as we grow in our industry, as we get better and better at our skill set, it's going to take us less and less time to be able to complete a task. So essentially, as we get better and as we get more efficient with our tasks, we are going to be making less money, essentially, because they're going to be quicker. We're not going to be paid as much. And so I encourage people to package their services as soon as possible. For me personally, as a Dubsado specialist, I have a big main package to be able to offer to my clients. So it's basically one price for here's what you get. You get a full Dubsado setup, you get beautiful form designs, and all of the different elements inside of that for this one price. And the pricing behind that is kind of on my end. What do I need to be able to bring in from this offering to be able to take care of myself? And how many clients can I take on per month to be able to make that happen? And then it's just a simple equation of dividing the amount that I need to bring in as a business owner by the number of clients that I can take per month to be able to get that number.
Amazing. Yeah, like what kind of earning potential does an OBM have as a newbie?
So, as a new person, depending on the services that you're offering, you can start by charging, for instance, for a Dubsado setup. I wouldn't start less than like 2,500 for a full Dubsado setup. Once you kind of understand how the program works, once you kind of get in it, if you do feel that you don't have the skill set to be able to do that, you can charge a little bit less per client to start off. So maybe you want to start your first setup at $1,000, and then from there upcharge it the next time as you gain more experience and get more comfortable to kind of get up to that $2,500 or more price point. But as a new virtual assistant, as a new person doing these setups, you could definitely make $5,000 easily per month or more, depending on kind of your pricing structure and what you want to offer your clients and the experience that you give them.
Amazing. So, do you use Dubsado as well for your own business?
Yep. So I manage all of my clients in Dubsado as well. So I use that for contracts, for invoicing. I use the workflow feature in there as well as scheduling. They have a built-in scheduler, which is super handy as well. So I use all of those aspects in my own business to manage my own clients.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so now since we have talked a lot about Dubsado and how who can become an OBM, I want to talk about the other aspect of it, like how do you manage your work-life balance?
For sure. Yeah. I think it comes down first to having really strict boundaries early on and making sure that we know what those boundaries are and that we stick to them. Because especially as online entrepreneurs, especially as people who work from home and don't really have that office to go to and then home to come back to, it's really hard to kind of shut the lights off at the end of the day, so to speak, and actually go ahead and spend time with our family. So making sure that we're really, really clear with ourselves and also with our clients about what our boundaries are is super important. So making sure that when we communicate with clients, we're not responding at 3 a.m. And if we are, making sure that we are maybe scheduling it to go out later on. So maybe it'll go out at 9:30 in the morning the next day, to make sure that we keep that work-life balance of like, okay, I work from 8 to 4 or 9 to 5 or whatever. Those are my office hours, so to speak, and keeping to that, because it's so easy to be working all the time. It's so easy to be working late at night. It's so easy to see a message from your client at 3 a.m. and want to respond to it. But knowing that if we get into the habit of communicating with our clients and being always available to our clients, it's really hard to break that later on. So being really clear with one, knowing how and when clients can communicate with you, and number two, how and when you're going to work. Because if you don't set those early on, it's really easy to get into bad habits. It's really easy to not be as firm with those boundaries later on. And it's really hard to correct, especially working with clients and client expectations later on if you don't set those early on.
Yes, when I started freelancing, I was like working 24/7. So it was so hard for me to set boundaries in the beginning, but then I realized it's unhealthy for me, so I had to do it. Okay,
Yes, for sure.
so how do you manage like client disappointments? Have you gotten any, or like how do you manage that?
For sure. So clients and client disappointments, obviously, it depends on kind of the situation and what they are disappointed with. And so if, for instance, I'm designing a form or something with them and they're not really super happy with it, I do offer like revisions, but they're very specific like times and places where people can request revisions. So by offering the revisions and client input throughout your process, you're going to hopefully minimize some of the different hesitations or some of the different things that clients could potentially be upset about. So kind of involving them in the process is going to help mitigate some of that. But also there are times, obviously, when clients are upset about different things. And so you do what you can to make it right. So sometimes it is your fault, sometimes it's not your fault. But having those client conversations, having open and honest communication, I think really helps. And also, obviously, if there is something that you have done really wrong and something that you feel that you should at least offer a partial refund because it is your fault, to be willing and able to do that to make it right, as well as making sure that you are also protecting yourself. So if there is something that has happened, but it's not your fault, maybe a client went through the process and didn't participate as fully as you would wanted, but you still offer those opportunities. You still allowed them to have that opportunity to communicate with you and to make it right throughout the process. It is really important in those instances to really hold firm and not to always give refunds to every person that's going to complain, but to try to handle it with as much grace as you can. Try to have those open and honest communications with what went wrong, why are they upset, can we do anything to make it right before we part ways, or is it just better to try to mitigate it in some other form or fashion of making sure that we're having those critical conversations with them, because sometimes you're going to be able to fix it, sometimes you're not going to be able to fix it, but doing the best you can and offering your best self to your clients, I think, is the best way to approach it.
That is some amazing advice again. So, since you're coming to the end of the podcast, what is the one piece of advice that you would give to someone who wants to become an OBM?
So I guess my one piece of advice is to just get started. I know a lot of people have a lot of mindset blocks and a lot of things that they think about of like, am I actually qualified to do this? Can I actually do this? Is this going to be something that I'm going to want to do? Or like all these things of like all fears and hesitations behind like client interactions or finding clients or anything. And I think a lot of times people have that fear and don't want to actually get started, but just to take that first step, to get started, to find a community of people to interact with and network with, to whether that's a free Facebook group or you pay for some sort of paid group in your specific industry or niche, to just connect with people and to just get started. Because once you get started, it might still be hard. You're going to have hard days, but that first initial step, I think, is the hardest. So to just push forward, know that you can do this and it's going to be okay.
That's nice. So, where can we find you, and also like what kind of help do you provide to the aspiring OBMs?
For sure. So you can find me at my website is thecreativescompanion.com. And you can also find me at Instagram at the Losinski. So I'm pretty active on both places. And as far as like resources and help that I provide, I have mentoring for aspiring people who want to be in this industry. So there is a place on my website where you can inquire more about what I offer and my mentoring program there.
Okay, awesome. And also she has recently started her YouTube channel, so please make sure you check it out. I'll mention it in the description box so you can check it out. Okay, thank you so much again for coming on to the show and sharing your valuable knowledge about Dubsado and OBM and so much more. We got to learn from you. So thank you so much, Anne.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This has been a pleasure.